As I was searching for some furniture to buy online, I happened across a cat advertised as free. What worried me the most was that she wasn't spayed. As a designer cat, that made her particularly vulnerable. I panicked. I knew if I didn't get her, she'd likely be taken by someone with bad intentions. I contacted the owner, who, thank goodness, chose to give her to me. I dashed across the moors to collect her. The owner had told me there were numerous dubious inquiries from people living hours away. She had no idea what could have been in store for the poor cat. The owner had warned me the cat was aggressive and wild, but like every cat I rescue, I just have to deal with it. You rarely know what's in store. If there are expensive medical problems or behavioural issues that need rehab, I just find a way to help them. With the high-rise flat she lived in popping into view, I pulled over for a minute to take a breath and prepare myself for every eventuality. I was about to learn just how sad the situation was. Having now met the owner, it was all beginning to make sense. She had no bond with the cat, and unfortunately, I had to scruff her into the carrier myself. Upon leaving the complex, I was then stopped by a neighbour who explained the cat had never left that tiny flat in her entire 6 years of life. She never saw another person, and her owner was rarely there, often just dropping in to leave her with another week's worth of food. The owner was now moving and just didn't want her anymore. The poor cat was understandably extremely distressed. She was banging around in the carrier, so I stopped to calm her and myself. I'm so glad no backyard breeders or dog baiters got to her. They target free cat advertisements. They are very convincing and fool even well-meaning owners. I called my new friend Madonna, as she was a very special, beautiful and fiery little lady. After a long drive, we are finally home. She was in shock, so I took my chance to quickly touch her before she disappeared under the bed for 10 hours. The next morning, breakfast time.
Going to sit a little bit closer, is that all right? Don't want to scare you too much. I know. Will we get used to this? I know, come on. Let's try your food. Hey. You know what I'm going to do? Oh, come on. Hey, okay. Relax, girl.
I went out for supplies to convert the art room into a recovery and rehab room. Her number one issue was that she was left alone for most of her life. I never wanted that to happen to her again. So I planned to sleep in there with her, not only for company, but to show her the loving side of people. Rescue Cat Picasso, with his own story to tell, helps to gather all the home comforts, including a pot of grass for digestion and a water bowl with rim to monitor its level. To drown out scary noises, I played relaxing music through the night. She's a furry little angel when asleep. But
Precious. Come on.
sleeping in the same room wasn't easy. When I woke in the mornings, I'd find Madonna with a psychotic stare, trying to puzzle me out. When I stepped out of bed, my ankles were swiped. Things just weren't getting any better. Until suddenly, she was fairly approachable. I thought we'd turned a corner, but a mood change was just because she was on heat. For a long 2 weeks, she was up most of the night, extremely noisy and agitated. Over these spells, the previous owner must have locked her away or gone away. It would have been unbearable and impossible to sleep in that tiny flat. Finally, Madonna was off heat, so I could get her spayed. She would no longer have to endure the confusing, relentless cycle. It was a scary day for both of us, but it was the start of her new, full life. Meanwhile at home, Picasso was quick to seize the opportunity to snooze in her room.
Cheeky, what you doing in here?
Back to collect Madonna. The operation was thankfully a success. She was still drowsy from the anaesthetic, so I got the chance to touch her. It was lovely. Unfortunately, the next thing to deal with was the dreaded cone. Back home, the poor girl must have been so confused. And it all leaves Picasso wondering, what is going on now? She has 2 weeks of recovery time ahead of her, and then the worst is over.
A little bit of food.
It was sad to see her looking so vulnerable.
There you go. Good girl.
She wasn't happy. And Picasso was getting confused with all the mood changes and swiping and not having the spotlight on him. You never know from that face, but it was a day for celebration. Time to remove that awful cone. The least stressful way to get hold of Madonna is to let the duvet encase her like a little burrito.
Come on. There we go. There we go.
Such relief. The cone is off.
Good girl. Good girl. You're very brave. Hey?
Later that day, even though she was displeased, I finally heard some cheekiness in her tones. I think I've got a drama queen.
Isn't it? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Monkey.
Picasso turns up just in time to catch Madonna having a dippy moment.
There you go.
Over the jubilation of removing the cone and back to reality,
Good girl.
she still didn't trust or like me, even with a food bowl in my hand.
Morning. Yeah. There you go.
Over the next few days, there is improvement and pleasant communication. I even got a chirp instead of a hiss. Madonna would normally jump on the bed to get to a sleeping spot on the windowsill, but tonight she surprised me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I said to myself, the next cat I rescue, I would keep as a friend for Picasso. But as much as he is trying, I'd be surprised if they could be friends.
Look at these two.
In personalities and backgrounds, they couldn't be more different. The old, ex-street cat meets the young, fallen princess. Time to introduce them properly. The dividing door was opened. I eased the tension with food. But sneakily, Picasso has his own agenda, heading straight for Madonna's toys. Then a bed. Then eats the leftover food. Finally, insult to injury, he settled on a favourite windowsill. If I advertised Madonna for adoption or kept her myself, at least I'd know if she was good with other cats. Her world was expanding, and I sensed the night stalking was coming to an end. So I set up the nighttime camera. A few days passed. Then finally, in the dead of night, she crept into bed, staying for the whole 8 hours. I knew she'd choose to do this when I was semi-conscious and no threat. The rescue cats tend to do that. She was no shrinking violet. And over the coming days, her personality started to shine. Then sadly, I discovered she had feline hyperesthesia syndrome. It was triggered by the stress of new situations. It left her breathless, with rippling, itchy skin, and in a hallucinogenic state. It was shocking to see. She'd panic and run and hide in the litter box that was given to me by the previous owner. There are many boxes and hiding places in my house, and Madonna even has her own room. Sadly, it made me wonder if she needed a safe place in her previous home, and the litter box was always it. I found if I distracted her with a noise or a toy, it snapped her out of it. Also, the more new experiences, the better she got.
Good girl.
Thankfully, it became a thing of the past. No drugs or medications needed, just gentle introductions, reassurance, and love. I also realised she wouldn't jump on anything other than the bed and windowsill when I was looking. So I started teaching her that jumping was okay. After noticing she would cower as if expecting me to hit her when I found her on a piece of furniture. She would easily get breathless playing, as she wasn't used to exercise. In a previous home, she didn't have any toys, space, or company. I soon built up her stamina. She enjoyed playing so much, she'd play alone in the middle of the night when I was asleep upstairs. She'd bring ball after ball up to my bed, probably in the hope I'd join her. I'd wake in the morning with the evidence. Finally, I took the ultimate step of introducing Madonna to the great outdoors. It is quiet and leafy, with plenty of neighbourhood cats to befriend. We went out for a couple of hours a day. I put treats on fences and walls to encourage her to practice jumping. She struggled at first. There was nothing wrong with her physically, just psychologically. She had such limited experience. She was like a kitten in an adult body. I'm not sure if Picasso was showing off or trying to demonstrate. She tried, and she tried. And eventually, she became really quite agile and more muscular in build.
Good girl.
We had a crunchy hunt every day where I hid treats around the garden. But Picasso, being the wise old soul, just went straight to the source, the treat box, with Madonna sneakily watching and picking up on his bad habits. She really enjoyed our walks. She even confidently and curiously approached Jasper, the neighbour's cat. I think she likes it here. Madonna's been such a brave little angel to overcome such neglect and isolation. Even though it was terrifying for her, she embraced all that life had to offer. I feel privileged that she trusted me to help her. She's staying with me. I just hope I can convince Picasso she won't steal his limelight. Like, comment, subscribe.